In 2021, World of Warcraft is unrecognisable from the game we played for the first 3 quarters of the 21st century. Throughout that time, the game has cycled through multiple expansions, weeding out the old systems and bringing in the new to sometimes mixed results. It's often said that since Wrath of the Lich King, the game has been cycling through a one bad, one good expansion cycle, a theory that seems to have gained more credence with the absolutely fantastic Shadowlands expansion coming hot on the heels of Battle for Azeroth, which by all accounts will not be looked back on favourably in comparison to Legion. Many people have fallen out of love with the game over its life cycle, but we are here to tell you that there is no better time to get involved. Shadowlands has ushered in a golden age, the likes we haven't seen since the hallowed days of Mists, or maybe even the revered Northrend based expansion itself. Perhaps it's the game's always-on Twitch community, or the way that Classic reignited the love and brought some of the old guard players back into the fray, but World of Warcraft is currently in a great spot. For a game that's about crossing into the afterlife, we have never felt so alive. For this reason, we thought it would be fun to recap all the reasons you should dust off the Blizzard launcher and dive back in. Here are 10 reasons to get back into World of Warcraft during Shadowlands. As always, these are our opinions. Think we missed anything? Let us know in the comments and hit subscribe here and on Twitch to stay in the loop with everything in the World of Warcraft and with Diana's boys. Thank you. Number 10. Mythic Plus. We're starting off strong here with what for my money is the best introduction to the game since arenas were added in Burning Crusade. Mythic Plus is the go-to end-game content for small groups and has built its own wonderful community which is only growing in strength. In short, Mythic Plus takes the game's 10 5-man dungeons and adds a timer to them which your team has to beat to gain the full loot at the end. Each run is started with a keystone, which you get the first time you complete any dungeon on Mythic difficulty. This keystone is known as a +2 and adds the first affix, either Tyrannical, which is a 30% damage increase, or Fortified, which adds 40% health and damage to trash mobs. From here, you scale up your key by beating a timer, with each level increasing the health and damage of all mobs. This in itself is cool, but the addition of affixes takes it to the next level. Affix are modifiers which make the runs harder. It might be explosives that spawn on top of enemies and do group-wide damage if they complete their cast, a raging buff that affects all mobs at 30% health, doubling their damage, or volcanoes which spawn underneath you and knock you up into the air, doing damage if you don't move away. Mythic Plus is scalable, repeatable, and adds a PvE experience for people who want to take on high-end content in smaller groups. It's injected new life into the 5-man dungeons, giving them a wider purpose. The loot is of the highest quality, and there's even cosmetics for people who push their keys high enough. The question is, how high will you push your score? Number 9. The leveling experience. As we sat at level 120 with a new expansion on the horizon, many people were left wondering, are we now seriously going to be pushing level 130 soon? This gargantuan climb must have felt daunting to new players, or in fact anyone who wanted to level an ult. Blizzard heard our concerns and have answered our prayers. We now only need to get to level 60 again, as all characters were squished down to level 50 during the Shadowlands pre-patch event. Curiously, this means for a brief amount of time, Classic WoW had a higher level than Retail. Go figure. With this change came new ways to level as well. Firstly, you play out your youngling days in Exile's Reach, a new way to experience your class that serves as a proper tutorial in which you learn about what your class does and what style that is. Once you finish that though, this is where things really get interesting. You can now pick which expansion you want to level through. No more do you go to Wrath at level 70, only to blast through the content and not understand what's actually happening. Want to relive Legion because you missed it? You should do that by the way. You pick the expansion and you begin blasting through. It gives you the chance to actually experience the content as it was originally intended. The Shadowlands leveling starts at 50 and is fun, sure, but mainly serves as the lead into all the amazing stuff you can do at max level. This new experience is tight, keeps you engaged, is replayable, and you experience the different expansions as they were meant to be experienced, and really see what they have to offer. Number 8. Cosmetic Content. It's fair to say that in the early expansions, Blizzard understood the value of allowing people to express themselves through cosmetics, but perhaps the opportunities were not quite there. WoW in 2021 though, is a collector's dream and worst nightmare simultaneously, with 1,000,001 items for you to collect and love. Need titles? There's one behind every single type of content. Love collecting pets? Accept to find yourself in about just every dungeon in the game, and then there's the original collector's dream, mounts. Mounts can be found around every corner from raids, arena, dungeons, the world, reputation. From dragons to crocolisks, parrots to grons, you can find almost any model and have it as a trusty steed. We haven't even had a chance to talk about transmogrification yet, a pastime so beloved that Asmongold's transmog competitions regularly get thousands of viewers on Twitch. This isn't Classic, BC, or even Wrath anymore. You can customise your character to the nth degree, and doing so requires you hit up a great deal of content. It's fun, it gives you a reason to log on, and try something that you otherwise wouldn't. Number 7. Raid difficulties. Undoubtedly, some people watching this video played the game during the Burning Crusade. You see, the game back then was a very different proposition. Raids came in one difficulty, one size fits all, if you will. This meant that in order to experience the content at all, you needed to be on the bleeding edge. I remember questing outside Sunwell Plateau, grainy Fraps footage would be released from inside those hallowed halls. It was an enigma, but truthfully, I would have rather have been in the mix. Fast forward to Cata and the introduction of Raid Finder, many people felt this maligned system was an effective death knell to the world of raiding, opening it up to filthy casuals. In reality, all it did was increase the raider participation, something that isn't too bad in our estimation. Raids continued to go through iterations until we ended up where we are today, with 4 difficulties you can try, Castle Nathria on. Raid Finder is a pushover and easily beaten by even the most casual group. Normal allows you to see most of the mechanics and explore the raid with your friends, conquering it in a variety of group sizes. Heroic functions much in the same way, only with the difficulty wrenched up. And finally, we have Mythic. Mythic difficulty is arguably harder than any of the original days of raiding from Classic all the way through to Mists. The launch of the Race to World First has arguably breathed new life into the world of Mythic raiding, and sites like Raider.io allow you to track your progress against the rest of the world. This rejigging of the difficulty levels has led to a steady progression curve that's perfect for any and all returning players. Number 6. Altfriendliness. The next one may end up being a controversial choice, as the idea of anything related to World of Warcraft being alt-friendly in 2021 was a one-time laughable matter. Truly though, Blizzard may have turned a corner. Anyone here who dropped out at BFA may just be spitting out their popcorn right now, as that experience required you to infinitely grind Azerite to power up your Heart of Azeroth, all while you waited for the perfect drop from the right corruption. Blizzard later reneged on the system, adding in a vendor that you could get items from, but even that took an awfully long time to save for. If you don't understand what we're talking about right now, basically it was very grindy. Even Legion, one of the most beloved expansions in recent memory that we all look back at starry-eyed, required the endless random grind of legendaries. Shadowlands feels different though. Perhaps it's the multiple paths to loot, or the progression system having ample catch-up mechanics from the get-go. It isn't exactly a perfect storm. You need to hit a certain amount of content to get real value, and those top tier raiders will tell you that Stygia is a problem, but to the average Joe Storm song, the game has allowed us to embrace our roles like never before. Number 5. The range of Battlegrounds. Anyone who's checked out the Diana's Boys Twitch, link in the description by the way, will know we love the odd battleground. We even made a video in which we ranked every single battleground from worst to best. I know, crazy right? Battlegrounds have been in quite a strange place. Back in BC, Blizzard announced arenas, and that sort of displaced them as the premier content for high-end PvPers. The addition of rated battlegrounds was for sure a step in the right direction, providing an outlet for people who wanted to earn high-end gear from raid-sized skirmishes. Honestly though, getting into rated battlegrounds can be tricky, and requires you to join a dedicated group, which isn't always so simple. That's not the battleground experience we're here to tell you about though. The true battleground experience, in our view, is the just got out of a Mythic, let's kill some people and wind down battlegrounds. With so much choice, it's easy to get stuck in, and the experience will always feel different. There's also been a whole gambit of achievements which reward unique titles and gear you can get, and we think that isn't half bad. Number 4. The Law and the Covenants. As we rounded the corner with BFA firmly in the back mirror and Shadowlands approaching, there was a lot of talk online about Shadowlands' brand new Covenant system. Old wounds from the aforementioned Azerite system were still relatively fresh, and the thought of another infinite grind got people on the defensive. The truth is, the Covenant system has been quite the joy. Sure, everyone's mostly fallen in line with their class's pick, but the system never feels like you have to be a certain Covenant to succeed. There's a nice mix across the Honourable Kirin, the Undead Necrolord army, Revan-dressed Stokeresque Venfir, and the whimsical Night Fae. The fact that Blizzard took the time to integrate every spec into every Covenant makes them all feel like living, breathing factions. The Covenant hubs add to this feeling, and to cap it all off, you get your choice of cosmetic upgrades and a time-gated progression system which has an incredibly fair catch-up mechanic. Perhaps it's how the lore feeds into the distinct zones that feel like part of the same world, but Covenants have been fun, not too serious, and easy to change without making the decision feel like more work than it's worth. Very cool. Number 3. Torghast. Oh boy, this one may end up being a bit controversial. Let's step back for a second though. Torghast is one of Blizzard's completely new systems, one in a line of, to be honest, failures. From scenarios to island expeditions and warfronts, these new systems have rarely done much to make you want to do them outside of loot. This is where we believe that Torghast has the edge. For those that don't know, it's simple. Torghast is a procedurally generated dungeon sprawl for between 1 and 5 people that provides you random buffs each time that empower your spells. This could be anything from a simple 50% damage buff to your main filler spell, think Wrath or Lightning Bolt, or even something as game changing as your shields exploding for the amount of damage that they've protected you from. There's also fun bonuses like the ability to jump 3 times as high or run twice as fast. These little bits of fluff might not appeal to the ultra serious, but they make the game feel fun, and ultimately that's what keeps these sorts of systems replayable. The week to week Torghast experience is interesting and keeps changing just enough to make each run to get to max Soul Ash feel exciting, but the creme de la creme is twisting corridors, the 8 levels of which get harder and harder until they really do start to test you. The fact that everyone is going for the mount that you get for completing level 8 is proof that people want to smash through it, and at an hour minimum per run, it's hard not to agree that it's at least a fun ride. Number 2. Arena. Some things are always good, and Arena is some things. The only part that makes Arenas not fun is the gearing situation that surrounds it, and the current meta at play. Shadowlands has one of the most fun metas amongst the first 2000 levels of rated play. It's a fast version of 2v2 and 3v3 that results in people getting blown up in a second if they miss position. Some people will tell you this is anti-fun, as one mistake and the game is over, but to counter that, you're always a few cooldowns away from blowing someone up and taking the day. The usual ebb and flow is still there. Right now Paladins are really strong, Prot is even having its day in the sun as their healing rivals that of their holy compatriots. Believe it or not, Rogues are still a massive pain in the ass. Some things truly never change. The gearing system feels fair, gated behind time, sure, but it's fair and gives people a strong reason to check in every week. The core Arena experience takes us back to the reason it was originally introduced. Small teams, scrapping to the death, and we love it. Number 1. The population. This one is cheating, but we don't care because we are simps to our audience and the rest of the world. The game feels amazing right now. People are excited to be playing it. The world feels alive and you're able to find groups for just about everything. Blizzard, for what it's worth, has responded to every major criticism thus far quickly and efficiently. Torghast, changed. Arena balance, changed. Mythic requiring your tanks to kite all the bloody time, changed. People are listening to this and jumping back in, and you could be too, so what is stopping you? That's it. 10 reasons you should jump back into the World of Warcraft today. If you've enjoyed this, why not hit like and subscribe to stay in the loop? Thank you. Until next time.